Jaya Gopijana Pallava Girivanadari Yesudanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yesudanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Pallava Girivanadari Jaya Gopijana Pallava Yesudanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yesudanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvakacharya Satashi Śrīmad, His Divine Loving Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada ki. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvakacharya Satashi Śrīmad, His Divine Loving Grace Srila Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada ki. Anantakoi Vaishnavinda ki. Namacharya Haridas Thakur ki. Brahmashikaho Shri Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Shri Gadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda ki. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Samakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki. Vrindavan Dham ki. Mayapur Dham ki. Jagannath Puri Dham ki. Samaveda Bhaktavinda ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Om Vishwabadaya Krishna Basaya Bhutaya Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Swami Nityaṁ Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Vishesha Srinyavadi. Thank you all for coming this evening. It's an honor to be able to speak here in Vrindavan on Śrīmad-Bhāgavad Gita. And so tonight I was told to do 18:6. Are we all in agreement with that? Oh, good. Okay. I pray to Prabhupada that he inspires me to say something that enlightens you on your path of devotional service. Etāni api tu karmāṇi saṅgam tyaktvā phalāni ca kartavyānīti me pārtha niścitam matam uttamam etāni api tu karmāṇi saṅgam tyaktvā phalāni ca kartavyānīti me pārtha niścitam matam uttamam etāni api tu karmāṇi saṅgam tyaktvā phalāni ca kartavyānīti me pārtha niścitam matam uttamam.
etāni api tu karmāṇi
Etāni api
tyaktvā phalāni ca
saṅgam tyaktvā phalāni ca
kartavyānīti me pārtha
kartavyānīti me pārtha
niścitam matam uttamam
etāni api tu karmāṇi saṅgam tyaktvā phalāni ca
saṅgam tyaktvā phalāni ca
kartavyānīti me pārtha
kartavyānīti me pārtha
niścitam matam uttamam
etāni api tu karmāṇi
etāni api tu karmāṇi
saṅgam tyaktvā phalāni ca
kartavyānīti me pārtha niścitam matam
etāni api tu karmāṇi saṅgam tyaktvā phalāni ca
tyaktvā phalāni ca
kartavyānīti me pārtha niścitam matam uttamam.
niścitam matam uttamam. Vaishnavis? Etāni api tu karmāṇi saṅgam tyaktvā phalāni ca kartavyānīti me pārtha niścitam matam.
etāni api tu karmāṇi
tyaktvā phalāni ca
saṅgam tyaktvā phalāni ca
kartavyānīti me pārtha niścitam matam uttamam. Etāni api tu karmāṇi saṅgam tyaktvā phalāni ca kartavyānīti me pārtha niścitam matam uttamam. Etāni, all these, api, certainly, to, but, karmāṇi, activities, saṅgam, association, tyaktvā, renouncing, phalāni, results, cha, also, kartavyāni, should be done as duty, iti, thus, me, my, pārtha, O son of Pṛthā, niścitam, definite, matam, opinion, uttamam, the best. Translation. All these activities should be performed without any attachment or any expectation of result. They should be performed as a matter of duty, O son of Pṛthā. That is my final opinion. Let's repeat this. All these activities should be performed without attachment or any expectation of result. They should be performed as a matter of duty. O son of Pṛthā, that is my final opinion. I think it's wonderful when Kṛṣṇa says that. This is my opinion. What else is there to say? Arjuna must have liked that too. It's like, okay. Om Ajñānā-timirandasya jananjana salakaya chaksun militan yena tasmai Śrī Gurave namah. Chaitanyam manobhistam sapitam yena bhutale swayam rupa kadamayam dadanti swapadantikam vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Barakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvarutam Parijana Sahitam Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakavidamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapate Gopisa Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gauranye Radhe Vrindavanishwari Vishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatruvyaścha Kripa Sindhu Mevacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha Shri Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In our, I don't think I put the purport in here. Okay. Although all sacrifices are purifying, one should not expect any results. In other words, all sacrifices which are meant for material advancement in life should be given up. But sacrifices that purify one's existence and elevate one to the spiritual plane should not be stopped. Everything that leads to Krishna consciousness must be encouraged. In the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, also, it is said that any activity which leads to devotional service to the Lord should be accepted. That is the highest criteria of religion. A devotee of the Lord should accept all kinds of work, sacrifice, or charity which will help him in the discharge of devotional service to the Lord. Jai Shri Prabhupada. So, in our process of practicing Krishna consciousness, there's so many things that are required to do. Actually, we do the standard, chanting 16 rounds, attending Mangalarti, hearing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, associating with devotees, and other devotional service. And then the nectar of devotion gives us a whole list of do's and don'ts. And then we have the nectar of instruction that refines that nirmagraha, that we're not robots. We just don't follow rules and regulations because there are rules and regulations to follow. We have to understand what we're doing. And by doing that, it helps us develop love. And an example of that is like Shruti Rupa was here. She was talking about how she had learned firsthand from Srila Prabhupada how he did not like to see lights in an empty room or a fan going in an empty room. And so ever since she learned that, she would run around her house. You know, she has children, so they leave fans on and lights on. And she'd run around and turn them off. But this is an act of devotion. This is an act of love for Prabhupada, because she understood he did not want us to waste Krishna's energy. So in so many ways, we have these opportunities. We don't have to just follow. We don't follow just to follow. We follow out of love. And it helps us develop that love and become more loving and remember Krishna more often. This is a very refined consciousness, this Krishna consciousness, and it's important that we have to be aware. This awareness is to know what our expectations are, what our attachments are, where our material impurities are. And this takes what's called introspection. Introspection is defined in the dictionary as a reflective looking inward. This word comes from Latin, an examination of one's own thoughts and feelings. So this is a very important ability to have in Krishna consciousness. Because by having this, we can look and see, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And Krishna says here it should be out of duty. Srila Prabhupada says that we should first become conscious and then become Krishna conscious. So becoming conscious is knowing what's going on. Srila Prabhupada never missed a thing. When I was a new devotee, I was pregnant when I joined Krishna consciousness in Laguna Beach in '69. And now, you have to understand, there was nothing Indian. There were no Indian stores. There were no Indians in America at that time. But very few. There were some, but very few, very rare. And the temple president brought back, this is an all brahmachari temple, he brought back a sari for me. And I was so grateful because, oh wow, I get to wear a sari for Prabhupada. But I had no idea how to put it on. So I just wrapped it around like a mummy, around and around and around. And we went to see, because we were going to go see Pṛthā that night in LA, which is about an hour and a half drive. No problem, I got in the car and we got there, but there was traffic, so we were late. Everybody jumps out of the car and runs into the temple room. And then I go like a penguin. And as soon as I came into the temple room, I paid my obeisances. And before I even got up from my obeisances, I could see Prabhupada had called a girl over and told her, take that devotee in and teach her how to put on a sari and tilak. I had forgotten my tilak completely. But the the sari was the only thing on my mind. But Prabhupada didn't miss the tilak. He didn't miss a thing. And it was so amazing to meet a person so aware, so conscious. So the Lord in the heart, of course, is very much aware too, very much aware of our thoughts and our desires and our plans and our schemes. And so we can't give up our desires. Desires are very much a part of the living entity. What we can do is change those desires. And we can catch them in the bud, right? We can nip it in the bud, because the thing of it is, we've been traveling around in so many bodies for so many lifetimes, having so many material desires. And sometimes when we're chanting japa, and we'll see our mind wandering, and we'll see some material desires pop up, we go, where did that come from? We just let it go like a river into the ocean. The ocean can absorb it all. Just Hare Krishna, bring back the mind to chant. And so, because of all these desires, all these things come up, but if we keep chanting, they eventually wash away. And that's why we continue to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Now, I have a favorite, Mahatma Prabhu. He puts on some japa classes, japa seminars, and I very much appreciate him, because he teaches that to do really nice japa, we need to get our emotions involved. Because then we follow our emotions. If somebody gets you upset, you're thinking about that. If someone really does something nice for you, you're thinking about that. So similarly, if we can get our emotions into our japa, we can really improve our japa. Excuse me. So one of the ways to do it is to really take a moment to consider our position, our lowly position, our fallen conditional position, and how helpless we are in this material world, because we're really helpless without the Lord's mercy. And when we can meditate on that for or even while we're doing our japa, and then it gives us the ability to call out for the Lord. You call for Him like a child does for its mother. And you've all heard a child cry for its mother. It's piercing. And there's a story remember the story of Gajendra. Gajendra was a king in his previous life, Indrajumna. Yeah. And he he had fallen and ended up being cursed to take this elephant body because he had done something a little offensive. But the thing of it was, he's a king of the elephants then, and he's going into the water with his she-elephants to enjoy and romp around, and he gets attacked by an alligator. Alligators are very powerful animals too, as elephants. But in the water, the alligator has the advantage, right? So they had this fight with this alligator on his foot for 100 years. And he was starting to lose a lot of blood. He was starting to get very exhausted. And somehow, from the depths of his despair, he was able to remember, oh, there's a God. And I know a prayer for him I've learned in a previous birth. Throws up his trunk and he starts to say this beautiful prayer. And in this way, Kṛṣṇa comes. Kṛṣṇa doesn't leave his devotees. This is the thing we sometimes, because we tend to be a little impersonal, but Kṛṣṇa is very personal. And he's very loving. And he wants us back to Godhead more than we really want to go back. We don't know how much we want to go back yet. This is kind of something that we will learn as time goes on. But he really wants us back. So he does these different things, but he can't force us in any way. He doesn't want to force us because that's not love. So he's trying to encourage us. And so Prabhupada says that everything leads to Kṛṣṇa consciousness, and it must be encouraged. And Srila Prabhupada, being Krishna's dearmost devotee, has set up this wonderful process for us. And Vrindavan, I think, is probably one of the most wonderful places in the whole planet, where we get this opportunity to serve in so many ways. And he says, the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam also says that any activity which leads to devotional service to the Lord should be accepted. Now, Rupa Goswami, he very nicely consolidated all these rules and regulations and things by just simply saying, always remember Kṛṣṇa, never forget Kṛṣṇa. And this is the point of all these rules and regulations. But the question is, if we are maintaining material desires and performing devotional service, is that devotional service? You know? There's some benefit there, but we want the most benefit that we can get. We just don't want half the cookie. We want the whole cookie. So that means that our heart and our intelligence and our mind needs to be in it. If we maintain material desires, the Lord is just sitting right there, right? He knows exactly what we're desiring. And he knows what we're thinking. Nothing gets by Kṛṣṇa, just like it didn't get by Prabhupada. And so we should be careful, because if we have some strong material desires, Kṛṣṇa could satisfy those desires. But that could put us on a huge detour in our spiritual life. That's why if we have material desires, we should root them out. We should say, oh, my dear Lord, I have this terrible material desire, and I don't want it to interfere with my devotion to you, so please take it away. Just give me the heart of a devotee, so all I can think about and do is devotional activities for you. Or, sometimes Kṛṣṇa gives us some very rough lessons. If we're maintaining material mentalities, attachment and anger and these different things, if we maintain these and we don't work on trying or praying on trying to relieve our mentality of this kind of stuff, Kṛṣṇa could give us some very rough lessons. Actually, there was a time Prabhupada went to Mauritius, and there was a devotee there who very much liked Prabhupada, and he came to see Prabhupada, but he had a bad habit. He smoked. And Prabhupada, I think, probably could smell it on him right away. And Prabhupada says, so you still have bad habit? He says, yes, Prabhupada, I know. And he said, well, you could give it up, or Kṛṣṇa could give it up for you. What do you prefer? Because sometimes when Kṛṣṇa makes us give up something, it's a very strong lesson, very tough. So So it's good to be aware of what my motivations are. Why am I doing this service? Why am I doing something? And chapter 4 of the Bhagavad Gita addresses this very nicely on the 18th verse. One who sees inaction in action and action in inaction is intelligent among men, and he is a transcendental position, although engaged in all sorts of activities. A devotee is always active. A devotee is always engaged in some service. So being aware of why we're engaged and why we're doing this service is an important feature. Text 19, one is understood to be in full knowledge whose every endeavor is devoid of desire for sense gratification. He is said by sages to be a worker for whom the reactions of work have been burned up by the fire of perfect knowledge. This perfect knowledge is why we go to Bhagavatam class. It's why we go to Bhagavad Gita class. It's why we read 2 hours a day. It's because it helps ingrain this knowledge into our consciousness so that we make the right choices, the right decisions. It's keep reminding us what transcendental knowledge is. When we act under this transcendental knowledge, it burns up karmic reactions, ones that we've created since time immemorial. So the thing of it is that we want to change our consciousness. We want to change it from the mundane to the spiritual. We want it to be a transcendental consciousness. And so this is a process to be reflective and look at the heart and look what our desires are. Because we're not able to go back to the spiritual sky if our hearts are full of material desires. Even though we are given to so many wonderful opportunities of devotional service, we have responsibilities to weed out all the selfish, egotistical desires that accompany us in our service. It's going to be corrected one way or another. So Kṛṣṇa says in the 20th verse in chapter 4, he says, abandoning all attachment to the results of his activities, ever satisfied and independent, he performs no fruitive action, although engaged in all kinds of undertakings. And text 21, he says, such a man of understanding acts with mind and intelligence perfectly controlled, gives up all sense of proprietorship over his possessions, and acts only for the bare necessities of life. Thus working, he is not affected by sinful reactions. So in this way, this beautiful relationship deepens with Kṛṣṇa and the devotee. The devotee becomes more and more dependent on Kṛṣṇa because he's not even thinking about his own needs. And Kṛṣṇa is actually taking great pleasure in taking care of his devotee. So the devotee is able to put his heart and soul into his service and actually taste transcendental bliss and not be affected by the modes of material nature, not be affected by his false ego or his an agitated mind. And so this is the highest criteria of religion, and very few people can understand this. It's very rare. And devotees are very rare. They're very special personalities. So this is Srila Prabhupada explains that you can see it in a mother's love for her child. He gives that example. And we have an example right before us. The mother will do anything for the child. She works constantly for the child. The child may kick her, may hit her. She doesn't care. She never complains. She never criticizes the child. She never rebukes the child. She just continues to serve in a loving way for that child. And we come to this platform when we can serve Kṛṣṇa and be completely devoted to him like this, then it quiets the static mind, and it quiets the agitations, and the modes of material nature do not affect us. So, we are niścita, Kṛṣṇa das. We're eternal servants of Kṛṣṇa. And so when we keep this mentality that we are the servant of Kṛṣṇa, when we develop this overall attitude This will help us very much no matter what our Siddha Pranali is. I heard them talking about that this morning. Because ultimately, each Siddha Pranali has the basis of service to Kṛṣṇa. So we've been messing around since time immemorial, trying to be the controller, trying to be the enjoyer. And so all we need is a little introspection in our activities. All these activities should be performed without attachment or any expectation of result. They should be performed as a matter of duty, O son of Pṛthā. That is my final opinion. Jai Shri Kṛṣṇa. And anybody have any questions? I'm going to stop there. All righty. Well, thank you so much for listening. Hare Krishna.